Welcome back to Common Christianity.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Common Christianity. Using a little bit different setup today because it's going to be a little bit different today. I'm going to talk about something pretty controversial, and then I'm going to follow it up with something even more controversial. And as you notice from the title, I'm focusing on keeping our kids safe today. So I'm going to start, as I said, controversial with this guy right here. Now, if you know me and if you know guns, you're going to know this is an AR-15. If you don't know guns, this is an AR-15. This is what you hear about on the news as something very, very bad. Now, I disagree with that statement. I believe this is a tool, and I got into guns. You're going to notice I'm very pro gun. I'm pro gun because I started out hunting. I really, really enjoy hunting. I love the skill of it. I love the challenge of it. And I love the fact that I can go out and I can provide meat for my family that is completely healthy and safe to eat and pretty cost effective, really, by the time you hunt for a few years and pay off all the clothes and the firearms themselves. It does become cost effective. I truly enjoy this hobby. I use this gun not for hunting, but for recreation, for shooting, for long range shooting, for target shooting, for a number of things. I'm also a fan of firearms for self defense, for home defense, for a number of things. But at the end of the day, I believe they are a tool. I am not forcing you to go out and buy guns. I'm not telling you that as a Christian you should be pro gun. There are those that do that. I'm not one of those people. I respect your individual freedom to either own guns or not own guns. It's really up to you. But if you're going to own guns, then I believe you, as the gun owner, are responsible for keeping them safe around your children. There are a lot of accidental deaths that happen in this country, around the world, because people do not properly secure their firearms. So you will notice, if you're a gun person, there is not a magazine in this weapon. Okay? There's also not a round in this weapon, because if I'm not using it, if I'm not actively shooting somewhere, it is unloaded. The same thing for all of my handguns, for everything I use for self defense, for hunting, it doesn't matter. When it's being stored, it is unloaded, and we have these wonderful little things called gun safe. It is a safe. It keeps my guns, my passport, and other personal, private valuables safe. My birth certificate's in there, okay? This is my responsibility. And when it comes to my kids, I take it very seriously. So I don't leave anything where they can get to it loaded. Now, I have also taken the step that I've trained my kids to properly use firearms. They know you always point it in a safe direction. They know to treat it like it's loaded. They know the power and the dangers of a weapon. They do. They know not to put their finger on the trigger until they're ready to shoot. And I also limit their exposure to them. They're never unsupervised without a weapon because they're not ready for that yet. Now, again, I'm not forcing you to go buy guns. I'm not telling you to be pro gun. But I think whether you're pro gun or anti gun, we can all agree that it is the gun owner's responsibility to keep others safe around their own guns. Not only my children, but my friends, my family, visitors in my home. I don't leave loaded guns laying around because I'm concerned with their physical safety. Can we agree? Okay. So, now the more controversial part. Everything I've talked about so far refers to the physical safety of your children, of your family. And we as Christians and most non Christians believe there is more than just our body. There is our soul, our spirit, or that part that moves on and goes into eternity. Well, part of keeping your children safe is safeguarding that as well. So I'm going to ask you, are you taking this safety as importantly as you're taking firearm safety? If you can't tell, this is my TV remote. I have a smart TV just like most of you do. My smart TV can go on Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, YouTube, or any number of other things. This is my cell phone. It is the world at my fingertips. If your children have access to either of these, whether it be their own or yours, I'm going to ask you, are your children's hearts safe? What are they being exposed to without your supervision? Okay. Funny little thing I noticed the other day. I was scrolling through Amazon Prime looking for something that was safe to watch with my kids, and there was a show that looked pretty interesting. So, as most of you know, you can hover on it, the icon, and it starts playing a preview. Part of that preview, you get some highlights, you get to see what the show's about, and in that preview, they drop the F bomb. Preview. My kids did not have to click on it, they did not have to watch it, but they got an F bomb pumped right into their ears. Okay? What about this guy right here? What about YouTube? What about all the things on the internet, the news articles? What about all the social media? What about the Snapchats and the Instagrams and all these things that your kids are using that you don't pay any attention to? Are you keeping their hearts safe? Now, to put this back in perspective, if I were to walk into the school with this right here and say, hey, anybody want to have some fun? Here, no, really. Go take this and go have fun. You can do whatever you want with it because I don't care, because I've told you to be safe. I'm going to say, hey, kids, be careful. It's dangerous. But then I'm going to walk away. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go, sit on the couch. I'm going to watch my own shows. I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to be in my own little world. Most people would be pretty appalled at that decision. Yet, we give these tools, devices, implements to our children unsupervised in their rooms while they're waiting on the school bus, while they're at school, and we tell them, don't do anything I wouldn't let you do. And then we just walk away. There are safeguards for both that most parents don't use. There are limitations for both that most parents don't use. And when they're out there, they are being cyberbullied, they're being picked on, they're being exposed to pornography, they're looking up whatever they want, they're watching YouTube videos on whatever they want, they're getting constantly pummeled with profanity, vulgarity, and just nastiness that most of you would not want in your home, yet you just leave it lying around, don't you? Like I said, it's going to be a little controversial today because I believe that though we are rightly so talking about gun safety in our nation, and most of us would rightly so talk about gun safety if we have guns in our homes, I just want you to talk about technology safety with the same passion, with the same degree of emphasis on your children, and I want you to put the same safeguards in place here as you do here, because we're not worried about those that can only hurt the body, but those that can also destroy the soul, right? That's what Jesus said. Now, God is the one that has that power, but how much are we exposing our hearts and our minds to that are taking us away from God? How much are we allowing our children to be exposed to constantly, daily, all the time, without any supervision, without any conversations, without any follow-up? Okay? That's just number two. Lastly, last area of safety I want to ask you about in your home is this guy right here. Okay? Yep. Trying to frame it in here. Your mouth. Every single one of you, every person on this earth can think of words that someone said to them that cut them. We all carry scars of something that's been said to us, something that hurt, something painful. And if you're my age, you can probably remember things people said when you were a child. If you're older than me, the same is true. Doesn't really matter how old you are, does it? Because you can remember things that people have said that have hurt you. So I'm going to ask you the same question about your mouth, about your language, about what you're saying and how you're talking to your kids. Are you encouraging or are you discouraging? Are you helpful or are you hurtful? Are you cutting them down, tearing them to shreds, and then just saying, oh, I'm just playing? Let me shoot you and then say I'm just playing. Let me expose your child to pornography and then say I'm just playing. Now let me insult them, cut them down, and belittle them. Call them stupid, tell them they're an idiot, curse at them, and then turn around and say, oh, I'm just playing. See, when you use the same logic, it doesn't really work, does it? Now, the Bible says one of my favorite verses that admittedly I am terrible at keeping is Ephesians 4:29 that says, "Let no corrupt or foul or bad language come out of your mouth." Now, that's just not limited to profanity. Those are in there, okay? But it's also all the insults, all the cutting down, all the speaking down and speaking hatred or darkness into someone's life. But the verse continues and it says, "But only say that which imparts grace." Wow. What would this world be like if we eliminated anything that tore down from our language and only spoke that which lifted up? How different would this world be? How different would your children be if you spoke more life into them? Now, that doesn't mean you never discipline. That doesn't mean you never correct. But discipline means to correct. So, like, if you're veering off a road and you just correct the wheel, that's discipline. It's not you jerk the wheel and cause a rollover accident, but that's how some of our language is. We react in anger, we react in the moment, we yell, we scream, we overreact or overcorrect, and we cause more damage. So, take a moment today to really evaluate if your kids are safe. Men, I'm putting the main priority on this on you because I believe it is the father's role to provide a safe place for their children to be raised. Okay, so if you imagine a garden or a safe place or that perfect little estate out in the country somewhere, there are certain things you keep out because they're simply bad. Okay, if you're in an inner city, there are certain things you keep out because they're bad. These are not negotiable. They are not up for debate. You simply do not allow them. In either scenario, whatever your perfect garden or your perfect home looks like, you're not going to let a violent person with a firearm come into your home. You're just not. But yet you let violent people stream for hours right here on these devices. You let violence stream. I don't have an Xbox One, but I would have loved to have had an Xbox controller. Guess I could have grabbed one from our old 360. But video games, you let all that violence and profanity and vulgarity pour into your children's lives, and you say, oh, it's okay, they're not going to shoot somebody just because they play violent video games. I agree with that, but what kind of language are they using because they play video games? How are they viewing human life because they're constantly killing computerized people all the time? What are they saying because they hear it said on video games, on TV shows, or because they hear you say it? So I went a little bit longer than usual today, but it's something really important and something very, very close to home for me. Again, I'm not telling you to go buy guns. I'm not telling you to go buy TV. I'm not telling you to go do anything. I'm just challenging you in a simple, direct way to really take stock of what's in your home and whether or not you are keeping it a safe place for your children. And by safe, I mean what God says is safe versus what this world says is safe. Because God has your child's best interest at heart, and God wants your child to live in eternity with Him forever. The world, what are they going to do to your kids? Food for thought. Have a good day.